The Shadow Network, how a covert scheme allegedly manipulated victim housing under government watch. In a quiet neighborhood once known for its resilience, a covert operation unfolded, one not orchestrated by law enforcement, but allegedly by a manipulative figure who weaponized housing vulnerability, social engineering, and digital deception to embed a network of associates under the radar of government surveillance. A blueprint of exploitation. The strategy was disturbingly methodical. Victims of violent crimes, individuals already destabilized by trauma, were reportedly targeted by someone posing as a fellow sufferer. Claiming homelessness, poverty, and desperation, this individual gained access to their homes and trust. But behind the facade, sources suggest a deeper agenda: to populate these residences with friends, associates, and gang-affiliated individuals. Informant leverage. Names of potential victims were allegedly sourced from informants and disgruntled gang members, creating a pipeline of targets already under emotional or legal strain. Digital impersonation. Using Facebook accounts and aliases tied to known criminals, the perpetrator is said to have initiated romantic conversations with victims, echoing tactics used by criminal counterparts in the 1990s. Emotional entrapment. Victims, believing they were in genuine relationships, unwittingly allowed associates to move in, transforming safe spaces into surveillance hotspots. The illusion of crime and the economics of fear. As these homes became visibly associated with criminal activity, local rent prices began to drop. The illusion of danger, whether real or manufactured, created a ripple effect in the housing market. Residents reported feeling watched, intimidated, and destabilized, while law enforcement presence quietly intensified. Rent suppression. The perceived uptick in crime led landlords to lower rents, inadvertently making these homes more accessible to the embedded network. Surveillance saturation. These addresses, now under task force scrutiny, became nodes in a larger web of observation, raising questions about how deeply the operation was known or tolerated by authorities. Psychological warfare and community erosion. What makes this alleged scheme particularly insidious is its psychological dimension. Victims weren't just financially exploited. They were emotionally manipulated, socially isolated, and made complicit in their own destabilization. Narrative hijacking. By convincing victims they were helping someone in need, the perpetrator reframed exploitation as charity, guilt-trapping them into silence. Social fragmentation. As trust eroded, neighbors turned inward, unsure who was safe, who was surveilled, and who was orchestrating the chaos. Unanswered questions and ethical imperatives. This story, still unfolding, raises urgent questions. How did this individual allegedly evade detection for so long? Were authorities aware of the pattern? And most importantly, how can communities protect themselves from psychological and structural infiltration? Contracted chaos. How probationers, spurned criminals, and abusers may have exploited the network. Beyond the manipulator at the center of this operation, evidence suggests that others, probationers, disgraced gang members, and domestic abusers, may have actively sought out or contracted these services to further their own agendas. In this shadow economy of coercion and control, the scheme became a tool not just of infiltration, but of retaliation and psychological warfare. Probationers seeking cover. Individuals under legal supervision may have used the network to create the illusion of stability, housing, community ties, and compliance, while continuing illicit activity under the radar. Embedding themselves in homes already under surveillance allowed them to blend into a landscape of plausible deniability. Spurned criminals and gang defectors. Those ousted from criminal circles or seeking revenge may have weaponized the network to destabilize former allies or rivals. By feeding names to the manipulator or leveraging the housing scheme, they could orchestrate targeted harassment while remaining at arm's length. Domestic abusers and stalkers. Perhaps most chillingly, some domestic abusers may have contracted or mimicked these tactics to reinsert themselves into victims' lives. By posing as new tenants, friends of friends, or even romantic prospects, they could regain proximity and control, often under the guise of coincidence or community support. This convergence of motives, legal evasion, revenge, and coercive control, transformed the housing scheme into a multi-purpose tool of psychological domination. It blurred the lines between criminal enterprise and personal vendetta, making it harder for victims to identify the source of their distress or seek protection.